Today I'm going to show you how to make your programmed MIDI drums feel more alive by giving them variation. This will keep the listener's interest, it'll just make it generally better, and it's super easy to do. This is kind of beginner level, so if you're more advanced, maybe skip this video, but if you're new to producing, this is going to help you out a heap. My name is Nick Rollo, welcome to the Producer Place, thank you for watching, let's get into it. So I'm working on this lo-fi song for my lo-fi music incognito mode. So it's pretty chill. The BPM is only 85, but these tips will apply to any genre. And I'm using Studio One, but this will work in any DAW. The actual way to do it might be slightly different, but the general idea will be the same. So let's check out the drums at the top. If you're using Studio One, this is the pattern editor. So the pattern editor is just a step sequencer, really helpful, really easy way to kind of build drums. But once we get to the point where we've got the main drums and we want to start adding variation easily, in my opinion, we want to turn it into just a MIDI file. So in Studio One, I just hit G to consolidate it, and now we have some MIDI files, which might look like this, or it might look like drums. Either way, let's solo and listen. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to do a run through and mute stuff. So we might mute a kick or a hi-hat. Basically, you just want to have some differences so it's not completely the exact same loop, if that makes sense. So let's have a shot. If I press 5 on Studio One, I get this mute tool. The key with this kind of thing is to choose the right amount of not too many changes, but enough changes to make it interesting. This might be a few too many, maybe. Maybe we want less stop and starting. You want it to be more consistent. That's understandable. But that's one of the methods, right? The next method is, instead of muting, we want to add stuff. So that could be snare hits, that could be extra kicks, extra hi-hats. Similar process. I would just run through it. And play with the velocity to kind of make it not just if it's a hi-hat or a snare. I don't like that hi-hat. So the key is kind of less is more. When I was adding a few hats or kicks or snares, I was doing that with what I already had. You can also add in extra sounds, so claps, shakers, other sounds that aren't kind of part of your core few drum parts, and then you can throw them on top just to give a bit more extra spice. And now just listening in the song, we'll see how that feels. So actually what I've just remembered is I need this to be on a 60% swing to match the pattern editor version of that. So that snare here was a little bit rushed. That's better. So in this case, I feel like I have maybe gone a little bit over the top with the cuts. Probably want to keep it a little bit more flowy, but just as an example, I think it kind of shows what we want. If you're using something like Studio One, I think most DAWs will have this, but you can also play around with something like Humanize, which is down here. Pretty much that's just going to change the velocity ranges and timings of all of the selection. So if you want to do it to everything, that works really well. Basically, it's just going to make it feel like somebody played it. When you program stuff, it's all perfect most of the time, unless you're really trying to make it not perfect. By humanizing it, it can just add a bit of flair, especially in something like lo-fi. You might want that drag. So you can just see, right? Like it's just now off the grid, whereas before it was on the grid and the velocities change. Now, basically what I would recommend doing is just run through the whole song. Like I did this in one section. And as I said, I did a bit too much. Just consolidate. Once you're finished with the main drums, what I would recommend doing is just grab it, consolidate it all into one file if you haven't already, and then just run through and just pick moments. You know, maybe it's before a chorus, maybe it's before a new section, or the vocals do something and you want the drums to follow it. These little variations just add a lot of flavor and color, at least to the drum side of things, and it'll help the track sound better. If you found this helpful, hit like, hit subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. If you use Studio One, there's some free presets, templates, and a course in the description below. And if you need a producer or a mixing engineer, you can check out some of my work linked below on my website. Have a good day. I'll catch you next one.